but I promise it'll be quick. And you can stop me if you need to, any point along the way, but I really want to get into the demo, but I just want to do a level set so we're all on the same page as to what's compelling about our company and our product at a high level, and then jump into the details. That's all right?
Sounds great.
Nothing worse than death by PowerPoint, so I won't. While we're waiting for Justin, Isaac, why don't you give just a short background on your experience with the company? And the reason I'm doing this, guys, is I'm bringing two key guys to the table here. One has a very different background than the other, and they'll bring a lot of complementary expertise to the table for you guys to pull from. So, Isaac, why don't you explain your background in the company?
Sure. I just got promoted from janitor. No, I'm just kidding. I've been with MicroVellum now for a little over 12 years. I started with a background in Excel programming and actually in some sales, but I worked with technical background and worked through MicroVellum, doing everything from CNC tool file connections, data development, account management, training, and various aspects of the software. So I'm kind of grown from within the company to be a consultant and account manager for MicroVellum on the West Coast and Northern Midwest. So that's kind of a quick little Cliff Note version of my background.
And also extensive stint doing training.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. How about you, Matt?
Sure, Michael. Guys, I do apologize if for any background noise. My name is Matt Perisher, and I've been with MicroVellum for about 3 years now, doing implementations and trainings before stepping into the role of account manager. Prior to that, I was a MicroVellum engineer at a commercial and residential casework shop for about 12 years.
So I think the key point here is we've got deep product and company expertise here, and we've got deep kind of industry experience that you guys have also represented here. So it's a pretty I think we've got all the bases covered for the questions you might have, and the way we work, we are straightforward. We're not. Just ask us and we'll tell you. We'll give you the real answer, and there's really nothing taboo here. So we look at our customers as partners that we collaborate with over a long period of time, and that trust starts in the first presentation. So we're not very salesy, really. I'm not really a very good sales guy, actually. I just tell it the way it is. Are we still waiting for Justin?
Let's just get started. I think he's down on the floor.
Okay. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. We can loop back anytime too. Okay, so let me get going here. So why MicroVellum? Let's talk about the company real quick. And like I said, I'm going to be quick. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So let's talk about the company quickly. These things should be interesting when you really look at them, and sometimes they get overlooked when everyone's focused on the product only. We're privately held. We have no outside investors. We were founded by a cabinet maker, and we are basically full of people from the cabinet making industry, hands-on people in our development group. So we're controlling our own product destiny under our own new leadership. So there's a founder of the company. He ran it for between 20 and 25 years, retired, very key guy that had recently come on board a couple years earlier, taken the company through some transitions, has acquired the company. We're a young leadership, a young company, and nothing's going to change. We don't answer to anybody except our customers. And we're building what our customers ask us to build. Before, in a lot of software. Hello. We good? We still good? There was something there.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, that's right. So we build what our customers ask us to build. A lot of companies build what they think the customers want, build it and they will come. And over the last couple of years, we've completely switched this approach up in our company, and we build what our customers ask us to build. We partner with our customers. We are selling direct to our customers globally, so we are personally responsible for what we sell directly to our customer base. That was a change from a few years ago, where we were selling through a reseller organization, and it was putting distance between us and our customer. And we completely rearranged that because we wanted to be closer to our customers. We are a global company. We have a tremendous business in Australia and New Zealand. Pretty good business in UK. It's growing. And North America is our primary business, though. Our customers are our partners, and we live this. Our customers are not boardroom stats. Like I said, it's a privately held company. We live and die by our customers, and we stay very close to them. And we're getting closer, and we can talk more about that and how we're doing that. But that has a lot to do with how we listen to what the customers want us to build. As just a quick point there, we have an annual 2-day event in Southern Oregon where we're headquartered, where our customers come in if they want. And as a large group, we meet with our engineering team, our product development teams. It's not a sales thing at all. It's about hearing what our customers are doing with our product, what's working, what's not working, what's broken, what needs to be fixed, talking about the future, brainstorming, and we build the next year going forward 12-month roadmap from this meeting, directly from our customers' feedback. And so that's one example of how we're living it. And it's changing the way our customers are looking at our company. Any questions there?
No.
Okay. So MicroVellum, the product. Let's talk quickly about Toolbox. The approach to our product, and you know a little bit about this, but I just want to go through these things just so we're level set. It's one application that spans the entire process. There's less moving parts. I can't impress how important this is when you get into producing many, many things over and over where there's changes back and forth and back and forth. We'll talk more about that. It's more efficient. It leverages AutoCAD. That's important because it's a global standard. It's not just lip service. It's important because companies are using global standard software platforms to do to separate the workflow, outsourced drafting, distributed employees. A global standard, meaning it's a large company, AutoCAD. They spend millions of dollars in R&D on their product to make sure that their engineering engine is on the cutting edge of their industry. This means that we don't have to do that. We don't have to spend that money doing it. We can focus on our product and how we automate what the underlying engine is capable of. One unified database supporting the entire process. So when you have one unified database that all the different steps along the way are referencing, it's more complete, it's less error prone, and it provides a database for unlimited reporting and access to things like BIM standards, if you work in that world, things like ERP that need to pull information that we conveniently have because we are part of the entire process. Changes made in one part of the process are reflected throughout the entire process because it's one unified database. It leads to a faster overall process and a faster reaction to production changes without errors. No proprietary code to keep you out. It's open for you to configure if you want to learn. We can teach you how to build your own libraries. We can teach you how to do more in-depth things if you want to go there and you have the capabilities. We can teach you this so you don't have to rely on us and spend money to do these things. And every company's different. Some people just don't want to do that because they're small. It's a resource thing. Some people get to the point where they want to be able to do this, so they're controlling a portion of their own destiny in this regard. Any questions? So we've got an unlimited capability lies under the surface. It's kind of like an iceberg. And I know you're comparing us against Cabinet Vision, and I'm going to be very, very forthright in our comparison to them, because I know that's probably our primary competitor. And I'm going to say this also, my job and my tact and our company's tact is not to disparage our competitors in any way. It's just to give you an honest comparison so that you can make your own decisions on what's better for you. Obviously, you know what we think is better. That's why I've pushed my way into this meeting. But that's our approach, so we can talk about this stuff openly. You'll see a prettier front end on Cabinet Vision, and it's deceiving. It's deceiving as to what lies under the surface. Let's talk about some rumors, some outdated fake news. MicroVellum's difficult to learn. I think it was more difficult years ago, but that's not what customers say now. We've made tremendous strides over the last 2 to 3 years, in our ability to automate AutoCAD. You really don't even have to know AutoCAD for the most part. It helps if you do, it's nice, but you don't have to know it. Be very, very effective and get up to speed quickly with MicroVellum. It's expensive. It's comparable to direct competitors like Cabinet Vision and others in that category. We provide a higher ROI than any of them because of some of the efficiencies that come to bear from having one application across the entire process and one underlying database supporting that extended process. Lower overall support costs. We have unlimited support, comes with our product. And it's customizable by the user if you'd like to. All that adds to less overall expense as you go. We could get into some conversation about OEM AutoCAD licenses also, because we've been an AutoCAD partner for so long, we're grandfathered in. I'm not sure that matters for you guys, but we do have a more cost-effective way to provide AutoCAD. It's slower. Well, if it's slower, why are companies switching? Again, I think this is something that comes up in the UI and in the one step. It might appear to be less efficient, but this isn't what our customers tell us after they use it, and this isn't why customers are switching specifically to MicroVellum from Cabinet Vision. Here's an example. I took this directly from an email from a customer. About 1.5 years of fine-tuning, and we find Cabinet Vision works great for our standard case work, but it was a long, involved, and lonely process. This is the same person, by the way, all these. The kind of interaction I'm having with you now, I could never imagine with Vero in my wildest dreams. One thing that's killing us in Cabinet Vision is custom design. Between the engineering and drawing process, it is very labor intensive. The biggest reason myself and the engineering manager pushed upper management to go back to MicroVellum for custom was what we saw as a great commitment to forward-thinking development. So the point here is, if you can have one product that'll do both extremely well, it bears weight in the selection process. What does your company's future look like? Let's talk about that a little bit. A couple different solution approaches that we're talking about are on the table right now. At a very basic level, it's this, combining AutoCAD with your custom, going through Cabinet Vision, combined with AlphaCAM in a bundled format, but it is basically still a separate application out to your production floor. You're looking at redundant systems that are not fully integrated and some heavy manual activity that goes between AutoCAD and Cabinet Vision. Versus one, or this, MicroVellum, leveraging AutoCAD for production, back and forth. It's simple, it's efficient, it's fast. There's other aspects of what your future looks like as well. Are you looking at outsourced drafting models? If you are, I think you'll find it fairly difficult to find outsourcing companies that are doing their drafting and engineering in Cabinet Vision. Globally, companies are supporting outsourced drafting in AutoCAD, and many of these companies are purchasing MicroVellum at the request of their customers. Outsourced production. Are you going to be maybe outsourcing some of your work when you get loaded up to other manufacturing contractors? A lot of them are using MicroVellum as well, and they're pushing it, and it's an easy relationship to spin up. It's faster, it's less error prone. Multi-plant production, we've got several customers who are leveraging MicroVellum in multi-plant production scenarios. That gets complicated. We're set up to do that. We're not going to get into some of those capabilities here, but changes to your production line. You don't know what the future holds. None of us do, but you have to be prepared to react to it. How many times do you want to change your primary software platform over the future? Probably never again is what you'd like to do. Those are some points I'd like to make there. Okay, that's it. That's death by PowerPoint. Any questions before we jump into the demo?
No.
No, I don't have any.
Okay, level set. I will stop sharing. And I'll let Isaac, are you taking it away from here, or is Matt?
Matt would be up next.
Okay. All right, so guys, the way we're going to go through this, we took your criteria, and so except for this first part, which we wanted to kind of hit the rendering part first, and Matt's got a lot of experience in this with his drafting background. We'll hit this first, get some away, and then we're going to switch it over to Isaac, and he's going to go through a demo, and we're going to kind of hit as many of those other criteria points and try and keep track of them as we go. Okay. And then loop back and see if we've missed anything. That sound all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Go, Matt.
Okay, thanks, Michael. What I've done here is I just imported a past project that I did about a year ago and set it up for rendering. It was rather easy to do because MicroVellum comes preloaded with some rendering skins. So we'll go ahead and open up the family room. By the way, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So as we see here, we have a 3D product and some 2D elevations and sections, all of which came from MicroVellum. I've inserted some lighting and some additional features to kind of beef up the rendering a little bit. Just to get us going here, typically when you're rendering, you'll want to be in perspective mode. So we'll go ahead and turn that on.
Now, is this utilizing the Autodesk rendering engine, or is it specific to MicroVellum?
It's Autodesk, yes. So all the capabilities you have with AutoCAD rendering, that's built in with MicroVellum.
Okay.
So as we can see here, I have the rendering properties manager open, and there are different presets you can do. When you're trying to get the perspective view correct, you can have it set to low. That'll give you a quick idea of what your rendering is going to look like. Let's give it a second here to load this up. So there we have it. That's just on low quality. From this, you can get an idea of the point of view and maybe change the orientation or something of your camera. If everything looks good, you can go ahead and save it. But maybe I want to go ahead and rotate it a little bit, something like that. And crank the settings up, medium and high. So rendering, setting this up is super easy. It's basically layer driven. We can apply whatever finishes you need to your moldings, interior, exterior cabinet parts, even your blocks. That stuff is done here in your material settings. As you can see that I've just applied the soft white to most of the cabinet and moldings. MicroVellum comes preloaded with lots of different material hatches or skins. As shown here. And it's rather easy to add your own as well, just as you would in any AutoCAD rendering environment. Once it's done, you can apply it to your production drawings, something like this. I just quickly kind of saved a quick rendering here and applied it to the production drawings here. So there's a quick rendering rundown. And also do items like flybys. So if we were to draw, say, path of travel here, and we're going to go ahead and set up, raise that a little bit, and we will set up a walkthrough. So we'll select our path, give it a name, and we'll also select a point of interest. We'll just pick a piece of our countertop or something. And we'll give it a preview real quick. And that was a little quick. Let me go back and change this to maybe 5 seconds or so. So you can definitely change the visibility state of that to conceptual rendered view wireframe, as you see here. Wireframe's a little smoother initially to hash out exactly your walkthrough path. But as you can see here, all the capabilities of AutoCAD rendering walkthroughs are available to you. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Nope.
Have you guys used rendering in the past with AutoCAD?
I have.
Okay. From your experience, do you have any comments regarding AutoCAD's rendering?
I've just played around with it a little bit. I've done just some personal stuff that I messed around with different things, but it's just a matter of assigning materials to your objects and setting up your lighting, really.
Yeah, that's really all it is. And it's not horribly difficult. We have a few tools inside of Toolbox that allows you to easily set up wall or floors and ceilings so that you can block out the black or gray area in the background, to be able to put in background images if you want to see mountains or fields or whatever you want. So all that functionality, we added a few tools to Toolbox just to simplify it so you didn't have to go searching through AutoCAD to figure out where these functions were. Aside from that, we're leveraging their engine. Pretty much 98% of it's just all them. We're just putting a few functions in there to make it easier.
Okay.
Okay, great. Well, if there's no further questions in regarding to rendering, I think it's time to hand it over to Isaac. I'll go ahead and just stop sharing here.
Okay.
Hey, Kyle.
Yeah.
Is Kim? Are you just working with Kim on how this works? I know that was something he was very interested in.
Yeah. I record all these, and then I have a YouTube channel that I put them on for the shop.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
So if you want to go see them.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you were if he was planning on drawing them and doing the renderings for sales, or if that's something.
No, that's what I would be doing.
That's what you would be doing? Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
He would be possibly if showing the client real time, changing textures and things like that.
Okay.
So it needs to be fairly simple for him to be able to do that.
Gotcha. I'm kind of just running through this. You guys have seen, kind of the drawing aspect of this. So I wasn't going to spend a lot of time talking about this, but I did want to go over just, you guys get to see someone, actually drawing in the environment so you can get an idea of how this, these products are placed and how this works and so forth. But this first section, I'm going to, for the most part, just kind of go through it fairly quickly here. And let's see, distance from left side. So I want to specify how far off the left side I want to be here. I'm going to put in 4. There we go. Okay, so you guys have all seen the concepts of how we draw products and create elevations and cross sections, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to just create some real fast here. You're not really locked into these areas that we have designated as plan view, elevational view. This is just more for our reference. And I forgot to update that, darn it. Which will give you the ability to, I got to fix my dimensions there. Give us the ability to create our elevations, cross sections. I want to show you how we basically did, whether you put your elevations in first or your cross sections or your plan view, however you do it, you can draw these fairly seamless. We'll go ahead and fill all with products. I'll do some uppers here. 19. So a nice thing is you can see everything happen, simultaneously in one view, get our elevations, our cross sections all taken care of. Sorry about the dimensions. I was playing with this before, and until I just got here with you guys, I forgot that I didn't fix my dimensions. But anyway, those are just some AutoCAD settings I can resolve. But basically, we get our dynamic elevations. So if we were to edit a product, we'll be able to very quickly see that change. Actually, let me do a cross section here first. Product sections. We'll do that product. As we're going here, guys, if you have any questions at all, just please holler. Okay, so basically now all the cross section, plan view, elevational view, and the plan view is in a three-dimensional product. But if we were to edit any of these, so access either the cross section or the elevation, doesn't matter, they're all linked together. And we were to make an adjustment, let's say for some reason this one's going to pop up into space a little bit. And we're going to adjust a few items here. We will see our elevation and our cross section and our plan view all simultaneously keep up to date, all on the same screen. So we have access to very easily get around, adjust things. And since we are working in AutoCAD, we want to add dimensions on the fly. We can do that just by making quick edits. These automatic dimensions come in from our software, which you do have control over how those populate, how many dimensions come in and where they show up. Or you can add your own as you would in AutoCAD already. So that's purely up to you. We just try to do some of the heavy lifting for you to simplify how much time it would take for you to draw those out.
And can you update those to like your own settings?
Yeah, so this is an AutoCAD drawing template. This is just one we've done. So your own colors, your own line weights, line types. However you do drafting, you can even start with your own AutoCAD drawing template. You may have to add a few extra layers to it because we already do have some layers preloaded into ours to be able to pick up some of these things, so they're not all just coming in as a white zero layer, because if it doesn't recognize a layer, that's usually what it'll do.
Okay.
So you don't have to bring these over, but we do have some annotations that between a 2D underscore layer and a 3D underscore layer, we have some functionality that allows for some deviation between those. But yeah, it's standard AutoCAD really is all it is.
Okay.
Just living in their world, taking advantage of their tools. So the other thing I wanted to get into here is just kind of, showing you making, additional edits and so forth. Again, to be able to make engineering edits on the fly and to adjust these products, what you see in the 3D drawing is an accurate representation of what should show up out on the shop floor after these parts are cut out and assembled. So you have that true view to be able to look at everything, see all the machining aspects of it. If you decide that you do want to make an adjustment, need to do something a little custom, some machining to a specific part, you can grab a part out of space, and we open up a new AutoCAD drawing here, which we call the 2D part editor, which looks at parts from a DXF view. So this is just a 2D file. DXF is fairly industry standard for machining properties. Are you guys familiar with that?
Yes.
I assumed you were. Okay, very good. So in here we have some 2D machining tools that allow us to add additional machining. It's just using simple AutoCAD commands like PL for polyline. If you need to add whatever it is, and it's kind of a nonsensical thing, it may be more specific, like a circular cutout, and I just type circle, not doing anything special. And then on our right, we'll have a list of our tools based on machine that we want to output to. We can choose a tool from our list. Let's go with the 1/2-inch tool here. We'll go with the 0.76 depth and choose this one. No, I don't want the exterior, so we'll cut through that. This one we'll keep it also all the way through, but I'm gonna use a slightly different tool size, and we'll make it center tool comp. We can also add drilling and routing and other various tools. We have some macros, predefined macros for pockets and cutouts and so forth. So we can apply whatever machine, because it is just AutoCAD. We just use standard move commands, whatever we want to place these and get it just the way we need it. When we're done, we can update this back to our product. And this will in 3D be able to give us those true views of how that's going to be notched out and cut out. And go ahead and close down that. We don't need that drawing anymore, or that. And there we have that visualization of that exact machine using the smaller diameter and the larger diameter tools to be able to cut those out. So nice thing about that is you can very quickly line things up visually in 3D, make sure that if you have to do a pass through between multiple cabinets and you can dimension them and make sure you have them in the right spot. It's nice to have that 3D representation of what's going to be taking place in the machining you're going to be using there, all in the same environment. A couple other things. Let's see here. I want to go over and show you making quick adjustments. I imagine that Matt showed you this before, but just for the sake of being thorough, one tool that's very helpful is our adjust wall length command, which I think I took off of my little quick link bar. That was silly. Unless it's that one. Nope. Okay, we'll modify room components, adjust wall length. So the reason I was looking over here is we have this tool strip on the right side. If you find commands you use a lot out of MicroVellum and you don't want to have to go to various submenus to find them, you can load them into a quick tool strip so you can get them at any point. It even includes being able to change your icon. So if you want Space Invaders like I have here, you can do that if that really matters to you. Those are the really important things that we make sure we give you guys the tools to do. So let's say this adjusts by 10 inches, a really bad field dimension, or there was an adjustment in the final choices there. And we want to go through and have all of our products equally adjust in size. We want to keep the same aspect ratio, then we can select to adjust all of them. If we only want to keep the tall cabinet where it is, and we actually just want to adjust the base cabinets, we can do that as well. So choose what we want here, and then we'll go ahead and select update wall. This will go through and extend the size of our wall, equally split the distance between our products, or if we only chose maybe one or two, it would do that as well, and then move all those products in space. So this will take a grand total of maybe, 30 seconds or so, but a lot faster than going through and manually trying to adjust these and get them all lined up correctly. Does this look familiar to something Matt already went through with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure if I was going to be redundant on. I figured there's a few things.
I've seen it, but I don't think Brian's seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. I was on the last one we did too. So.
Okay. Well, kind of a nice tool. We've got that's fun. You guys have kids?
Yes.
You watched series of unfortunate events?
Yes.
I just had a thought there. Look away, look away.
The movie or the series?
The series.
Oh, yeah.
And my kids absolutely love that. Anyway, those dimensions drive me nuts. Anyway, so obviously a handy tool to be able to utilize to make adjustments and tweak things on the fly. So
how about modifying a cabinet?
Yeah, specifically, you want to give me some ideas what you're thinking?
Take one of those base cabinets, throw a center partition in it. Left side, do like 2 fixed shelves. Right side, do a top drawer, and then below it 2 roll trays.
Okay, I'm trying to visualize that. So I'm just going to draw something real quick to make sure I'm getting this right. So you're looking at something. So you said a partition would be a full height partition?
Yeah.
And then on the left, you said 2 drawers?
Left, two fixed shelves.
Okay. And what would be on the right?
And then on the right, a top drawer, and then 2 roll trays below it.
Would they be open, or are they going to be behind a door?
Let's do left side open, right side behind the door. Like top drawer 6 inches.
A drawer up here, a
And then 2
drawer
roll
down here with a rollout. We call it a rollout. You call it a slide out or whatever behind it, and then over here just 2 fixed shelves.
Yeah, but make the top drawer like 6 inches tall, and then 2 roll trays below it.
Okay, I'll do my best to duplicate what you're talking about. So let's go in here. So we have this option here to replace a product. So in this scenario, this product that I placed in was built as a 2-door base, but we have something called a starter product that I can pretty easily swap it out with. But it'll retain the placement and the same basic principle. So as far as the product, we have a horizontal and a vertical starter, depending upon if they're horizontal openings or vertical openings. This would be a horizontal starter you're talking about. And by swapping that out, it pulls out the width and the height and retains all the information. You're talking about 2 overall bays, as we call them, so a left and a right bay. The left bay is going to be open with adjustable or fixed shelves. We're going to do a total of 2 shelves. The right bay is going to be what we call a vertical splitter. So we're going to split that and turn it into some different openings there. And then we're going to go into a function here called subassemblies, which allows us to do some more order entry controls. So on the left one, we're going to go with fixed shelves. That'll work there. And on the right one, we are going to do a total of 2 vertical openings. The top opening, you wanted a drawer. And the bottom opening, you said to do some rollouts. Let's see if I've got those. Looks like that's one of the subassembly inserts that we don't have in the library that I'm showing you today. So that would be something we could definitely add, or you guys could add. So that would be basically just, we call them a subassembly or a component. They live inside a defined area of space. We have some basic ones here to fill in. It looks like rollout is not one of them, but for the sake of showing you what we can real quick here, we'll throw this in here and calculate this space. Drawer, that should be fine. Take a look and see what this looks like. Components are kind of cool because the area and space are defined.
Sorry, Isaac. Hey, just FYI, rollout shelves are in the subassembly list. They're just not in that pull-down menu.
Oh, they're not? Okay. Well, then help me find them, Matt. Are they on the left in the subassembly menu and pick corners to place?
Yeah, it's in the library list of subassemblies. I think it's subassembly inserts.
Okay, let's see what we got here.
Interior components.
Thank you.
And I think it's called rollout shelves. Rollouts, there you go. So you'll want to pick corners for that.
Awesome. Okay,
and these pull in with 3 quantity by default. You'll want to probably go in there and change the quantity to 2. Oh, it is 2. Good.
Sounds good. Like Michael mentioned, we all come with different backgrounds and things, and sometimes some of us know more things about other areas than other people do. Thank you, Matt, for the assist. Okay, so there'd be kind of an example. Now, this is our default. These have different options in them for scoop, or if you want to have just a straight rollout shelf, or however you want to have it. But it kind of gives you some examples of customizations that could be done to the software.
So if you added a door to that lower section, would it adjust and add the rail on the side to adjust the spacing so it'll clear the door?
So are you asking if, oh, sorry, zoom in here. So if we were to this with the rollout shelves.
Yeah, if you put a door on that that right section, you would have to add basically a spacer on the side so that the drawer would clear the door when it's open. Would it do that automatically?
Oh, I got you. No, it would not actually do that automatically. That is something that if you had, this is a scenario that came up often, you could customize that product to automatically pick that up. Okay. To tell it that when that happens to do it. In a standard product, this is the one scenario where that doesn't, because as we add these components, they have some spatial awareness of what's around them, but from one component to another, if it's placed like these rollouts are, I physically pick points in space that define the width and the height.
So if I adjusted that pick point and went 3/4 or an inch in from the end that you picked, it would have sized those 1 inch smaller.
You could have done that. Yeah, there's also an option inside of those, I believe, that will add that for you. I think there's a toggle where you can spacer left or right. Yeah, so if we wanted to do a rollout spacer on the right,
okay,
and then that would give us the control. By default, it's a 1 inch. You can override the spacer, and that would give us the ability to adjust that. So let's say we...
yeah, that's exactly what we would need to do in order to utilize a door on that right hand side.
And would it move the hinge also, the bottom hinge?
That's something that the door has also an override control for. So if you decided that you wanted to move the hinges left or right, or you want to move those, you can. So as an example, let me come over here to modify my subassembly. And I'll just click on this door on an adjacent product. I have some hinge controls where I can determine the number of hinges. And let's see, I believe, don't we have an override in here? There it is. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's right there in front of me. So move bottom hinge, move top hinge. So a positive is up, a negative is down. So if I wanted to move, for instance, my bottom hinge on this door, positive 6 inches. And I'll redraw that product. You'll see that one on the left will move up. And now I have my hinge and my hinge plate moved up 6 inches based on the other one. So each one of the components, you have controls in them that allow you to create overrides.
Can you throw a door over those 2 roll trays just to see what happens?
Sure.
And it does look like it does drill the holes for your hardware.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So associative machining is already built in for you. So you can see there's my slide hole machining right here. It's kind of hard to see here at the moment. I've got a lot going on, but I'll show you here in just a second.
Kind of looks like it's the spacers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make this right swing. This is standard overlay. We'll do a half top. So basically what we're doing here with these custom products is as I add in components, I have to give it a little bit of spatial awareness, telling it where it lives and what's around it and so forth. Whereas, I didn't do a half overlay on the left. You can see I got a little bit of a thing there. Adjust that. Let's see. Left half overlay. Yeah, so this is with the casework products that are living in the realm of a predefined, like a 2-door base. You know, the library is 300 and some odd products in the library, face frame and frameless that can all be drawn in the same drawing. They all have their own, I guess we'll call it spatial awareness built into them. So as a rollout gets added and a hinge is going to be there, we can either adjust the hinge or have a spacer to deal with that.
Can you
when we're adding these
up automatically? So like when it sees the roll tray there, it's going to take that bottom hinge and pop it up 6 inches.
There are some options in there that will allow you to either adjust with a spacer or with the hinge. So it's a selection inside the global variables. Matt,
but not automatic.
Correct, right, Matt? Pretty sure that's in there.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, I wasn't 100% sure on that one as far as if we have that option to be able to adjust spacer. The question came across, and I'm sorry, I didn't know if, I think that was Brian or Kyle, I'm not sure which, but of whether or not you have the ability to, on a standard product, if we add in a rollout, will it automatically move a hinge?
It will not automatically move a hinge. It should add the spacers on door cabinets automatically. You can of course change it like Isaac showed you there though, and you can even alter the formula to recognize the occurrence of a rollout shelf to move the hinge if that's what your standard condition is going to be.
Yeah, so if this were a condition where you'd want this to move up and clear it, this is all in an Excel environment. So these things basically working on defined fields that if we find a range is going to be where you don't want it and you want to change the way the product thinks, you can have it automatically adjust. We do make some assumptions for you, but we do not make all assumptions because every shop out there makes a box differently, and surprisingly, but nonetheless, so if you do want that to react differently, you can change the programming using some basic Excel formulation and functionality. It's not a difficult proprietary or difficult code to learn. So it's a fairly simple process to be able to adjust those. If you do only do this once in a while and going through and doing, editing the products to accomplish that, it may be easier to just on the fly whenever you need to make an adjustment to, a door and be able to say, I need my bottom hinge to move up. And this one does have some controls that are figuring out if it needs to move the hinge, but if we need to move it up 3 inches, we can make that adjustment. There we go. That'll give you some clearance if you need to do that. So everything has adjustments. It's if you do find that there are things that you repeat over and over, that's one of the benefits of our software is that you have the ability to change the way the software thinks and the way it calculates and the way it works. So you're not locked in and forced to just deal with it. You can make developmental adjustments to the software to make it work in a format that you like, that works better for your facility. And really what you end up doing is developing a software that is uniquely yours and a data catalog that is uniquely yours and gives you, so even if you are competing against other shops that have the same software, your advantage is your product line is unique and not duplicated. So, okay, if you guys don't have any more questions there, I'm going to move on and show you something else here. Couple things to be aware of that are kind of nice, editing multiple products. So you obviously have the ability to go in to each product after the fact and edit them. You also have the ability to edit multiple products from product list utility. And product list is a built-in utility that allows us to look at products from a Big Brother overview. So if you did need to grab multiple products and adjust either specification groups, aka materials, hardware, and so forth, you can do those on the fly. If heights of products need to change or multiple things, you can select multiple products, maybe all the uppers, and we can go into, let's see here, where are we?
Can you, say you had a cabinet that you customized in one drawing, can you copy that into another drawing and reutilize it, or you have to set it up again?
You know what? You're actually stealing a little bit of my thunder. That was the next thing I was going to show you.
Oh, okay.
But that's okay. Great lead-in question. Actually, that's the way I should have done that one. So actually, that is a good question as to how can you do that? So let's say I can take that a step further. So you have this product here that we've customized and built. There's really 2 primary ways to take that to another project. Or another drawing for that matter. One is to save it to your library, which is your full library of catalog of products, space frame and frameless, and all the other information you have in here. Which may or may not be the way you want to do it. You may not want all users having ability to save and edit to the library in the template, because that could mean too many cooks in the kitchen. Someone makes a mistake, and you end up losing some data or something along those lines. Of course, you have backups, but nonetheless. That may be a concern. We also have something called group products. And group products is a really cool function that allows you to take either a single product or a grouping of products and save them for usage in any other project or drawing. And you do not have to have admin overrides, and it does not affect your library. So,
I have a question on the library.
Sure.
So does it live on the individual computer?
No, it lives in SQL server on your server. You do have the option to put it on your local PC, but I would recommend you keep it on the server.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Because like if you did create that cabinet and wanted to save it, is it just on your local machine or does everybody have access to it? So
Yeah. No, we would set you up with SQL Server, make sure that everyone is on this same catalog. You may have a separate catalog, a sandbox environment for doing testing or for new update releases, things like that. Okay. But your production library would be shared by everyone.
And no problems with, say, 6 people using it at one time?
No, I've got companies in my territory that have 25 plus users simultaneously using the software.
Okay.
So it's not an issue. Your only issue potentially would be coming down to your hardware and your connections internally, as long as those are robust. Another
question would be, so we operate just a little bit different than the Linden operation. We actually have a manufacturing facility in Mexico where a lot of the drawing is actually happening up here. Can it work over an internet-based network?
Yes, we just recently started supporting virtual machines. Okay. So if you have, again, it comes down to having the right hardware and the robust,
connection
setup and a decent connection, but you can actually do a virtual machine all hosted at your facility. And through what's called a floating license with MicroVellum, you can allow users anywhere in the world with an internet connection to log in and work off of your connection without actually allowing them to have your intellectual data on their physical computer.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So those are some things that are definitely worth knowing about.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So as far as the group products, I want to show you that here. This group products function is just a quick, you window the products you want to group. So let's say I want to grab this grouping of products here, these 4. This may be a scenario where you built a custom island or a custom desk unit or whatever. A grouping of products came together to create something that you want to reuse. It could be an entire room. It could be an entire drawing. It could be whatever you want. But basically, you group the products, use an insertion point. We give it a name. So we'll call this MP for now. And the program goes through the process of calculating and saving all the unique data about those products and grouping them together. And then in our library, we'll have a product groups area where I have that product group down here, and I can choose to save it. Now, this is an island I had created that's a combination of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 products, and I can bring it into a drawing. But then to bring this back into another drawing, you just select it and say, I want to add this group to a project. Of course, this is the same project. It's not going to be that exciting, but nonetheless, just the fact that we can pull it back in and bring it into a single project with the same orientation and information. I'll show you this island group real quick here so you can kind of see something that you hadn't seen in this drawing. So let's say we want to put that, we'll put it right here. So this is a little wraparound Euro style island that I had built. And once it comes back into the drawing, it's still fully editable and you can change anything about each of the products independently, but this is just saving the configuration and the last way it was utilized back to the program. It also will allow you to be able to reuse the specification groups and materials of the current project. Oops, got a little too far there. Of the current project, so you can utilize the materials and hardware that you have specified. It inherits whatever is in the current project. So it's kind of a cool function to be able to move products around from one project to another, whether it's a single or grouping. Since this is not admin restricted, anyone can do this, and anyone can go in at any point and say, you know what, I don't need this anymore. You might look at this as having 1 or 2 library admins that control this data. And if it became that, a situation where one of these products is something you really want to save to the library for permanent usage, you can do that. Also, all users can see this. So let's say you build a set of different island groupings or different closet styles or anything it is that you want, you can save them as groups, and anyone at any point for any job can draw from anyone else's products in this list. So kind of a nice little free-form clipboard for custom groupings of products. Okay, any questions about that?
No.
Very good. So I'm going to go ahead and go into kind of showing you guys some things about processing a work order. So basically processing a work order, we do that. You can do that a couple ways. You can do it directly from the screen. So this will be creating a work order for release to the shop or to prep for release to the shop. So getting reports, information for purchasing, anything like that. One way that you can do this is through the product list to be able to come in here and to get a Big Brother overview of all the products in your drawing and to choose what's going to be output to the shop. So we can grab all the products here to say work order from entire product list, but this is kind of a nice overview so that let's say I'm just making a quick change and see something. Let's say you didn't realize incidentally that you had changed one of these to veneer and they should have all been laminate. Well, this is an easy environment where you can kind of see that on the fly and say, oh, I need to make a change to that. Bring over that menu so you can see it. Choose the correct one that you want. That changes the specifications, which I'm sure Matt went over that with you, which is the information for that type of product and that setup.
Now, can this list be exported, or we use a program called ShopPack where we essentially have to enter the same data in to create our, we'll call it export documents.
Sure.
So would you export this as an Excel and then just import it in, or is there other ways to do that?
ShopPack has a MicroVellum import-export function, I think.
Okay, so there's a way that we could set this up to transfer right over into ShopPack.
Yeah, you just need to contact your ShopPack tech or rep, and if it's probably a plugin that you just don't have because you haven't needed it.
It actually looks exactly like it looks in ShopPack. So.
Okay, yeah. So basically, our database, as one thing we're very proud of, is we are open source. The back of our data is open to be able to access by industry partners such as ShopPack or Ceradex, so that they can dynamically extract information out for production and tracking and all of that. So, yeah, I would definitely check with them and see what tools they have available for that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So we can create a work order. Work orders can be based on either a single product or a grouping of products, a room, or you can actually grab multiple drawings or multiple projects and batch them together to create a single database for manufacturing. It's purely up to you, however you want to do this. So let's see here. Just for a little speed, we'll cut this down just a little bit in half there. Process work order. So this will go through and create the database of information that needs to be utilized to create our purchasing reports, to create our nest optimizations, G-code, labels, all of that. Just a side note, while we're waiting for this to process, you had mentioned the ability, and or I shouldn't, you hadn't mentioned, but in your requirements is a reporting software. Built in with our installs of our products is StemelSoft reports, which all our reports and labels are written in. And that's not at any extra cost or any new installs. It's all part of the software. So you just launch it directly from Toolbox, and it allows you to edit anything about your reports. So just be aware of that. Okay, so this is our processing center. Processing center basically gives us a breakdown of all the parts in the work order that we created based on what we selected. Through here, you have quick filtering tools where you can drag things up to break things out by material, or if you want to break things out by a subcategory of, I don't know, maybe we want to go then by product name or something like that. You basically have the ability to create filtering if you want to control what you see and how you see it, and just very quickly you can undo those changes. From here, what we're mainly trying to do is determine how we're going to filter parts out to the shop. So on the lower left here, we have what are called processing stations. These would be connections to your CNCs, point-to-point, saw, edge boring, and so forth. And you can choose how parts go out to these. They can be done a la carte, where you just choose a part or set of parts, choose some stations, and say, I want to assign these. And then we're going to assign those coinciding columns, default nest, default point-to-point, to the processing stations to do that. We also have a couple other ways of doing this. One is by way of using the rules. And Matt, did you go over the processing station rules with them? Do you remember?
I believe so. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a way to easily distribute the different machining operations per processing station. So I believe I did go through those.
Okay. Well,
So, yeah.
yeah, no problem. I just want to verify. So basically, yeah, what he says, right? So you basically have these broad sweeping rules that, determine where common machining would go to in your shop, whether it's horizontal drilling or parts with no machining. So let's say parts with no machining or have no face machining would go to the saw, whereas anything with face machining may go to the nest or the point-to-point. Say you're doing a saw and point-to-point scenario, you'd be able to select everything and say apply rules, and the program will go through and apply rules to that information. Now, these rules didn't obviously pick everything up because it wasn't based on this information predominantly. What I work with a lot of my companies is a lot of them are doing nesting. I'll show you how that one works, but basically you can do the rules. We also have something called map parts, which if you have very standardized setup, say you do high volume manufacturing, it's a lot of repetitive work, you can pre-assign parts to go to machines automatically, and you don't have to actually assign them here. They'll just already know where they need to go into your shop. So depending upon your level of automation or future advancements into more automation, those are definitely options. Before I create a nest, we also have an array of nesting optimization controls built into the software that give you the ability to change order functionality. So whether you're going to be routing standard, common line, or stay down, I'm going to assume some of these terms are fairly familiar to you. Run phase 6 first, which means to run the bottom side of a sheet of material first, flip it over, and then run the top face so there's no secondary operations. True shape controls to be able to look at the true shape of a part, anything that's non-rectangular that you want to interlock or puzzle piece in together with other parts. And we also have small part handling controls that allow us to deal with either onion skinning or automatic tabbing to be placed in your parts to hold small parts together. And yeah, that's about it. Kind of covers out, how we're going to do all these controls. Each one of these processing stations, you can have as many processing stations as you want. So you may have one. What brand of machinery do you use, by the way? I forgot to ask.
In the residential, we have a Motion Master.
Motion Master.
It is a dinosaur.
I was going to say, I have not heard of a Motion Master. Okay.
They're no longer in business.
Gotcha.
We have an SEM 5-axis and an Onsrud 3-axis.
Okay, very well. Well, let's go off of that one.
Yeah.
So either your Motion Master or your SEM or BSE or whatever brand of equipment you have here, you're going to have a tool file post that links to that. Well, you can duplicate stations and be able to give yourself additional stations where you have one pre-set up for nesting oddly shaped parts with true shape turned on. Another one set up for dealing with auto tabbing, another one for standard production rectangular parts that aren't unusual. And basically you can have those all preloaded with whatever manufacturing settings you want, and then just assign them to the parts as they need to go to the shop. So that's kind of the gist of what I was getting at here. So I'll go through and process this. So this found a part that had bottom side phase 6 machining and no top side machining. It's asking if we can flip this over. So drawer bottom is going to be a double-sided material. And I'm going to say, in my scenario, I'm going to say it's okay to flip those. So we have a few little things that'll pop up and give you warnings and messages as you're getting ready to manufacture this to make sure that we're getting this out the right way. And I didn't quite show you this, but also we have batches. So you can release batches out to the shop. If you don't want to release it all as one huge work list, you can do that as well. So this right now is optimizing, and I think I accidentally left true shape on. That's why it's taking so long, Nardo. So here's a perfect example of, when we're doing something like true shape nesting, we would want to make sure we have that function turned off. So if I had turned this off, then that would have gone actually quite a bit faster. So let's look at, I'll first show you the nest drawings just to kind of cover those briefly, and then we can turn back around and we'll look at some reports. So here's an example of nest drawing. So this has the automatic tab placement. This is using the stay down nesting algorithm to determine how those are going to be placed. And you can see we have a few here that are all interlocking. So there's one that has our custom machining that we added on the fly. It did have to, we have also some rollouts that came in behind these. You can see those all added. So one of the nice things about our nesting options is it is all in AutoCAD. This is again basically a nest DXF, and you can update and change things on the fly. So if you needed to, you can manually adjust and move machining if you so choose. Let's say this needed to move down 2 inches, you could do that. If you wanted to grab just a couple, and I mean you have kind of some free form control over here to be able to change how this machining goes out. So if you find there was an error or you want to change something custom at the last minute, you don't have to go all the way back to the primary product, fix it, and then come through here. You can change it on the fly, which includes also the ability to get back into the same tool that I showed you earlier on single parts, which is where you can come in and go into drilling or routing, choose tools, and be able to just hand draw once again with line drawing of whatever it is that you want to machine, and be able to add that machining on the fly in this environment as well. So under the scenario that you did make a change like that and you want to make sure that gets updated, we can go ahead and say, let's go ahead and update the G-code from the existing drawing. And we'll update the G-code back to the same location. So that G-code was likely sitting on the server where the CNC, the ONSRoot or SCM, whatever it is reading from. That G-code's automatically updated as soon as you hit the update button, meaning that we make sure that that operator has the most current data available to them. But also include moving parts, adjusting tabs, and all of that. Get back over here. So then as far as the reports look, we'll take a look at that nest optimization report, which would be the one that would end up out at the operator's table. Zoom out a little bit here. There we go. So here is that one that we modified. So this shows them a copy of the report showing the exact what parts should look like as they're being cut out. Top face and a bottom face barcode if you use a scanner out there to be able to pull up your G-code programs or the actual file name, as well as references to the work order, material, and everything you need to know to be able to know how to run this part. Also, all the reports can be printed in either a PDF, HTML, on paper, Excel, whatever you want. So it gives you a couple different output options for how you want to see these reports. If you decide you want to go paperless and save these as PDFs, or however you want to do that, you have the option to. Another really good report is the work order summary. These are all the preloaded reports that come in our software. So this is it's a lot of reports. You can actually restrict the reports, cut them down, edit them yourselves, change them around however you want. But this is a nice overview report that shows you all the products that have been processed, the total sheet count of optimized sheets, edge banding, lineal footage, and your hardware totals for this this work order project. So just some quick overviews there. Any questions about the reports while I'm in here?
No, I don't have any.
Okay, you guys have seen reports in your day, right?
Yeah.
They're pretty exciting, aren't they? Okay. So the other parts about this, basically, as far as the sending this data out, that is fairly it. I mean, we do have, of course, labels and information on labels. And just for the sake of actually seeing the label, I'll show you one here. I think this is a fairly large label, but nonetheless gives you kind of an example of how this would look. Parts that have edge banding will show a WMF image, and we'll give you an X on the edges where there is banding and information on what banding goes to what edge. If you do dowel insertion or dowel drilling and have a machine that is online, we'll actually call up a barcode with a reference to each edge so that your operator can very easily see where all that goes. And you guys are currently using labels, or are you using the black Sharpie method?
We use both.
Both? Okay. Fair enough.
They print them out and then they sit on the shelf. And
I gotcha. Okay. Well, if you do, I mean, labels are built in. So if you want to use them, you can. If you don't, obviously that's up to you. There's definitely some value in having the labels. So you've got something to track, especially if it needs to go to multiple stations and hit multiple machines. There is definitely a benefit to having that label to track that. So, but anyway, that's kind of an overview of the processing. There's a few other little functions, but I think that kind of gives you the broadest taste of what's going on. One more thing I did want to show you is I wanted to backtrack a little bit and show you the solid modeling tools. And I think we have just enough time to do that. You guys mind if I take another 10 minutes?
That's fine.
Okay, great. So now most of our users actually put these all into a single drawing template just for ease of use. I have them in a separate drawing template just because this is the way that I got them from internally. But the concept is that the solid modeling tools is a way to easily take solids either that are drawn inside of AutoCAD or from SolidWorks or Inventor or something like that can import as a DWG file, and to take that block data and turn it from just being generic three-dimensional information into manufacturable parts with machining and ready for output to the shop. So this is really something that we're very proud of. The solid modeling tools have been under development for a couple of years now and been out in the market for a couple of years as well, and have the majority of our customers are upgrading to our solid modeling tools just to be able to take care of this functionality because it saves them so much time on the engineering and release to the shop. So what you have here, this is not part of the program. This is just my drawing. These are samples of cross sections that were provided by our customer base when we were beta testing and building this product. And they said, hey, if you could build this, that would be awesome. So this is what we use as kind of our samples now to start with. So as far as the way these work, I'll use this one. It's fairly simple to work with. We have, and again, these quadrants don't mean anything either. I'll just work down here in space. We basically draw a construction path. So this one is used what's called the extruded product builder. This construction path is going to be the path that we follow with our cross section. This cross section is just a 2D model. You will see if I highlight over this, the layer that pops out is going to look really kind of funky. And the reason is that layer is linked information to our database for the material that's assigned to that layer, as well as any restrictions as far as the lineal length that part should expand to, how we should deal with joints and miters and so forth. So basically what we're going to do here is we will add, other screen. So give this product a name. Choose the path we're going to follow. Yep. And then we add the cross section. So this cross section, obviously I already have this pre-built. If you guys were to draw this, it's just simple AutoCAD lines. You're going to be creating closed polylines, rectangles, and so forth to create your parts similar to you would right now, or you may already get drawings from other people that have that information. And then we take that and we extrude it using the information in the layers to create the 3D model, which gives us this product right here. A quick overview of what that looks like without getting too far in the weeds. Smart Layer Manager. Bring this over as well. Looks something like this. So basically we have what are called vertical entities and extruded entities. These are those layers that you saw. So as an example, here's a stud layer. We basically control the name, the color in AutoCAD, the material from the inventory of materials that we have available to us, spacing, how we're going to space. Are we using dowels or dados? And if we come into a scenario where a joint should kick in, what should we do around that? Single, double, or quad stud, or nothing? We're going to choose dados on. Okay. And then as far as extruded entities, kind of the same thing. We come in here and we can control basically same basic three starting. Then we have some extrusion links so we can control where we're going to split that so it doesn't get any greater than the sheet size, or maybe you want to restrict that so it can fit up an elevator or wherever it may be. Some spacing options, and we have some joint negotiation options here. So if we're going to be going to a corner, how do we want to deal with that as a butt before, after miter, or a distance from corner to create a solid corner piece? So kind of some logic. That's what that layer controls, is that logic information about how this should react. So on the fly, these are can be adjusted pretty easily. So I'm just going to turn off some things. I'm going to convert that to an arc, and we'll pull this out here. And you can see how quickly it just basically follows that path and extrudes and allows us to be able to get into that. You guys seen this very much at all?
Yeah, it's been showed a couple times.
Has it? Okay. Well, then I probably don't need to get into it a whole lot more, but actually, this is one of the few times I can say this is fun to work with. This is actually a fun area to work in and be able to build and develop and design things. So definitely a cool environment. I won't spend a whole lot more time on it. One other thing I will show you is if you do get solids from somewhere else or you do draw your own, the engine behind the scenes is the is the solid model analyzer, which gives us the ability to create 3D products from very simple geometry. So I'll just, for the sake of giving you something in here, I'm just going to use a press pull command. This is AutoCAD. So I'm just using AutoCAD to draw lines, AutoCAD to extrude, to create a solid entity. I'll just grab and create a couple quick solid parts here. So let's say this is my custom product that I need to take from just a 3D model and turn into manufacturing. I can use the solid model analyzer to window these products, scan them from my material inventory, choose a 3/4 inch material that I specify. So let's do some two-sided or whatever we're going to do here. I think I chose wrong. There we go. Just do some two-sided white melt. And we'll place it right there. So what basically I'm doing is I'm taking a block that is a 0 layer, no information other than a 3D model, and turn it into a MicroVellum product. And what I'm going to show you here is that this already contains the DXF information to actually cut out, do the machining, and create that geometry out on the CNC or however you're going to be cutting that out. So kind of cool to just, on the fly very quickly we can create from just generic data. So anyway, that kind of is the gist of that. For the most part, that was kind of an overview of what I wanted to get into. I didn't know if you guys had any more further questions that you wanted to ask, or for that matter, if Matt or Michael want to throw anything else in here as well.
I want to make sure we hit all the items on that criteria list while we're here. Is there anything, guys, that is sticking out in your mind that we didn't cover? I'm not sure we covered some middle drawings and things like that.
Yeah, and I think some middle drawings, from what Matt was telling me, kind of got covered prior in prior meetings. That's why I didn't really spend a whole lot of time talking about how
it has.
Okay. Yeah, we don't understand that then.
Yeah, let me take a look here.
What's sticking out in your mind, guys, of something that maybe might be open-ended so we might cover?
I can't think of anything right offhand.
I do see one on your criteria list that I didn't cover. I don't know if we covered in the past. That had to do with grain matching. One of the things you brought up there, and that's one thing that we do have the ability to grain match between, not just within a single product, but grain match an elevation.
Okay.
So if you do need to, book match across 3-4 products for horizontal graining, we do support that. So just be aware that functionality exists. That's the only thing I'm really seeing on here that I don't think we quite covered. Material hardware.
How would you guys go about treating like loose moldings and things like that as far as putting it in your drawing to utilize the paperwork portion of it?
Okay, that's a good question. So let's switch over here.
So say I just had a room that had crown and base in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would just draw out that room, tag the base, and it would Is there a way to link those drawings together to come up with like a run total of per job?
Yeah, so what we do is in the room components, we do have moldings. It is an expansive library of moldings that allows you to choose from all types of predetermined profiles.
And you can create your own profiles and save those into that library?
Correct. Yeah, it's almost the same. It's just an extrusion. So you basically create a 2D section of what that molding profile looks like, put it into our moldings folder where we're looking to give it a name. And then if you want, you can create a JPEG image so you get a little pretty picture like we show here and there. And then it just becomes a situation where we place that molding. So we say pick points to draw molding, or you can select a polyline if you've already drawn the path and follow.
Okay.
And we physically just choose, you know, where that's going to go to. And that will create, we'll do inches. And you choose if it's going to be lineal footage or segmented. So if you're looking for total lineal footage and you have your guys do this out in the field, which is what it kind of sounds like.
Actually, we would prefer like per piece because,
Okay.
yeah, it's just easier to track. You never know if you say a 10 and they run an 8, how much you're going to end up short. So
I got you. So then we'll go ahead and we'll create the crown. So that's what you saw in the rendering that Matt already had, is he had some crown molding already added. As far as when this project is manufactured, let's go back to project, product list here. There's my molding.
okay.
So this is for I did the, you know, kitchen crown molding. This is just for the sake of looking at, it's a simple Excel parts list, but here's a breakdown of each of my links. So I've got 18, 13, 150, and 13. So when I actually process this, this comes through as a product. Oh, come on. This comes through as a product and gives me the ability to put that on a report. Just adds it into the database. If it was lineal footage, you would see a single line item with the total footage. And then based on how you build your report, you can have those batched together or be separated out.
And is there a way to calculate like an overage, like you wanted to add 5% if you were doing linear footage?
Yeah, you could, that would be something that you could probably do as part of the report. I trying to think, because the molding product that's here is just built on the fly and extracted from the drawing. So I would say that would be something you'd add to the report, or if you wanted to, if you had a single molding line item and it was, I keep double clicking, sorry about that. It's the old way to doing it. We now have a tab. You could just come in, and if you do know you always want an overage of, I don't know, 3 inches, 1.5 inches each way, you could just add it in. This is just an Excel field, so you could up the sizing if you wanted to and say this is going to be 20 and 15 and 2 and 15 again. So you can't edit these on the fly if you want, or you could potentially in the report put in a 2-inch overage on all cut sizes or something like that, and have it add that way as well. So more than one way to slice that. Yeah, so that's basically the way I would think be the best to do it. And that gives you molding for everything from chair rail to crown and base molding and anything else you could think of. So,
Matt, can you think of anything that we haven't covered? Because based on what you showed some of the guys the first time and so forth, anything we're missing?
Well, it sounds like we've pretty well covered most of the items on the list, and I really can't think of anything else we can show these guys unless they have questions.
Okay. Yeah, there's another layer down. If we have subsequent conversation relates to things we're doing with the product to support multi-location manufacturing and things like that, that we don't get into in our standard demo here. And it's a product line. there's a conversation there. If, you know, I know that kind of fits your model a little bit, but there's more to talk about.
Okay.
What I think, Kyle, you mentioned that when I got a hold of you and we talked about doing this demo, this additional demo, you said that you needed to kind of, whatever we're going to do, we need to kind of do it before next Wednesday. Are you guys moving toward a decision by next Wednesday or something like that?
No, Justin's heading out of town. So
Okay.
it was mostly for the demo. It had to
Okay.
be before Wednesday.
Okay. And I think I saw him on briefly.
Yeah, he had to come and go.
What, well, now we've got just a couple minutes left, 5 minutes. What do we do next? Are there some next steps, and how would you like us to help you with whatever you need?
I think mostly we just probably need to get together and have a powwow and go over our options and relook at some things. And
Sounds good.
Okay. So just, I'll just get back together when you guys have had a chance to talk. Is this what you were looking for? Is this compelling? I mean, I felt it was what was described to me as your environment, and then what you shared also, Kyle.
yeah, a lot of with what I'll be doing, I'd be like dropping cabinets in, but then I'd be modifying them like what you guys did with that end cabinet, with the door and fixed shelves and things like that. I'd be doing a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
we would be doing the same basically. We don't necessarily need the rendering capabilities.
That's mostly what I would need is the rendering.
Yeah,
also.
that's more for the design for clients on the residential side. Rather, we use this mostly in the commercial world, so they don't typically expect that from us. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope we made our case in a compelling way that you know it lends to not being limited on the direction you go with your company and the products that you're building. And I wish Darren could have joined too, because he's involved more on the millwork side, which is a key factor. But I don't know if that's driving your decision or not. It's just ancillary. But I hope we made our points clearly and articulated them properly.
You have.
I know when we talked when we had our other meeting when we were talking to Cabinet Vision that Chad was talking about integration with. I mean, obviously it's based in an Autodesk product, so exporting into say a BIM model capabilities for doing that.
Yeah. So you want me to make a comment on that?
Yeah, if you would, just clearly for information. I know he had expressed interest in being able to export, you know, final production drawings back into a BIM model. So
I don't know. I don't know about that. That's a question that I don't know about. I know that we can take information from Revit. I'm not sure if it goes the other way. As far as supporting the 5 levels of BIM, what we've been told by some pretty sophisticated customers is that when they look at how, you know, the fact that our database is so open and all that information in the detail that we provide for all of our specific reporting capabilities, it provides all the detail required to satisfy levels 100 through 500 of the BIM model.
okay.
And they're very comfortable with that. Although I can say we don't have a deep experience in doing a lot of reporting around BIM. This is just what people that understand what that really is firsthand have told us, have said they're very pleasantly surprised at how leverageable our data is. And that's, you know, another aspect of that data is being open. It does support many different systems as you grow your company. In terms of providing data for ERP, depending on the kind of directions you go that way, and other systems that can leverage that data. We become kind of one-stop shopping for some pretty valuable data. And then as you get into more sophisticated management at the machine end, you know, the machines are getting more sophisticated and telling you what they've machined, what's upcoming to be machined, and then you can extend that kind of intelligence out farther into what's being designed and engineered into that conversation. So you can even extend, information about what's coming farther out to your production, and that kind of lines up to where I alluded we're going right now with some different things around being able to leverage machines across multi-factory scenarios.
Yeah, and I think this was more of a sales. I mean, we do have an architectural group that does a lot of BIM modeling, and so they had talked about being able to provide in that BIM model. So if I were to take the MicroVellum's 3D cabinet, if I were to copy that in or export it out, would it export out as like a 3D model, or as a solid product with the material tags and such attached to it?
I don't know, Isaac. What do you think about that?
I should probably talk with the mute off. If you're taking this out to a BIM model, it will go out to them as a 3D model. As far as importing, I don't know. This is the part, again, it sounds like we need to do a little research on this, but as far as the BIM models, I don't think they're like actually something you would be editing outside of MicroVellum or AutoCAD. From my understanding, maybe you can correct me, isn't it just a representation that you're going to be showing to whoever is doing your approvals and so forth? Is that correct?
Yeah, this was more of an in-house, we'll call it a future expectation, because since we do manufacturing and we do have a whole architectural firm that's working for us, that just to be able to kind of synergize and share, once the design is finalized, to be able to then get that final model back into the BIM product.
I think even if it's just a 3D DXF model.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be edited per se, but just to say, you customize that cabinet, okay, that's what we're producing. They want to pull that back in and create it in their BIM model so they can show the customer exactly what they're doing. If they want to render it all out in a 3D environment, showing, trees in the background, mountains, and all that other stuff that the architects get into.
Sure. Yeah. Usually, as far as the export of this model, yes, you can output it. As far as bringing it back in, let's say if for some reason in that software they have the ability to edit the 3D model, and you want to bring it back into CAD, it's going to come back into CAD as a 3D entity, but it's not going to have cut listing data behind it because it's not linked to our database when it comes back in.
Gotcha. Okay.
But if you got a 3D entity, you could just pull it over, set it next to this one, and go, okay, that's what they adjusted. Go into the product, edit it however you want to duplicate it. Or if it comes back in as a 3D entity and it's just completely different, you could even use a solid model analyzer to potentially to scan it and turn it into manufacturable code as a MicroVellum product. So what that would look like is this solid model analyzer thing I showed you here does not have to be used on things that are extruded. It could be as simple as, I don't know, let's say, well, we'll just take this one. We'll do a simpler one. Let's say I want to do these parts of this product. Let's just say I'm grabbing the entire product. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's a 3D solid, we can grab it. Okay. And we can turn it into manufacturable set of pieces that are ready to go out to the shop. So that's what I grabbed, and now this is a new product line with just those parts in it. So as long as it's a 3D model, it still has the potential either to be turned into one or duplicated back to the original product. It's just kind of up to you.
Yeah, and I'm not sure of what they're actually looking at. We're talking about different facets of manufacturing versus sales and all that stuff. So just a little information, because we probably will be asked.
Sure.
So let us know if we need to set up a session on that a little deeper.
Okay.
We're happy to. It's a topic that comes up more and more. You know, these guys are being required to work within the Revit environment by the, you know,
Right.
due to the nature of what they're building and where it's going. So we just haven't had to go down that path too far. But what I know, I've shared.
Okay.
It's positive news whenever we dig into this a little bit. So
there was one item on your list I just thought I'd hit on real quick to make sure that if the question comes up, you can actually have an answer for it. Is the very last one about estimating. So we do have a built-in what we call price-based estimating function, but we are in the process of evolving that in the future. So we do have a current solution, but we do have what we feel will be a more robust one coming down the line as well. So just FYI.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Yep.
okay. Well, if
I think that was it.
you guys have any other questions, fire them away. Otherwise, maybe it's a wrap, huh?
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank
you.
Okay, I hope you felt your time was well spent. We've certainly enjoyed it, and thank you for letting us, feel like we, properly, go through these points for you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Well, have a good day.
Likewise.
Thank you.